So I welcome all of you to this Sutta teaching session. So today actually we used to do this on every Wednesday, but due to some other activity we couldn't do on last Wednesday. So that's why we are trying to do it today. So we'll start the session by paying respect to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Actually, for today's Dhamma sermon, Sutta teaching, I have selected a particular Sutta which is probably you might have heard, and this is called Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. So I particularly selected this one because it is quite relevant to our practice, and we can learn a lot from this sutta. So that's why I have taken this sutta as the next topic for our sutta teaching discussion. So Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta is available in Majjhima Nikaya. This is in the third section. As you know, there are three main books for Majjhima Nikaya, and in the third book we have this Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. So typically Buddha preach a sutta due to certain reason, and this Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta has a very beautiful reason. And there is one person, actually he was a king, and he is called Pukusati, and he is a friend of King Bimbisara. So King Bimbisara is the king of Magadha in this Rajagaha, and Pukusati is the king of another little far area, fairly remote area, another country. So they are unseen friends. So they actually exchange various gifts each other, and they have become quite friendly each other. And so King Bimbisara is one of the unseen friend of King Pukusati. One time King Pukusati sent certain valuables to King Bimbisara, and King Bimbisara was quite happy. And those are extremely valuable items King Pukusati has gifted King Bimbisara. So therefore King Bimbisara was quite happy, and he was pondering what is the best gift I can give to my friend. So then he thought, now already King Bimbisara has good faith on Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. You know, King Bimbisara is one of the Aryans, Sotapanna Puggala, that means a stream enterer, even though he is a king. So among various kings, King Bimbisara Buddha has praised, and so King Bimbisara has very good faith on Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. So therefore, King Bimbisara has a different suggestion. Rather than simply sending some material gifts to King Pukusati, so he thought of sending the message of the Buddha. So what he did was, he has taken some gold leaves, and there he has inscribed the message of the Buddha. Basically, he has informed that the Buddha has arisen in the world, and he has preached the Dhamma, and there are many followers of the Buddha, and this is a very rare occasion. And in summary, certain aspects of the Dhamma also is written in these gold plates, or we can say golden leaves. And after writing all this information, he has put it very nicely in a cover and then handed over to a messenger. And now this messenger is going to meet King Pukusati. And another request is made from King Pukusati, telling that don't open this cover, don't open this message while in the assembly. Rather, you better go to the topmost story, and there you can open this message, and alone you may read it. So that's what the message Bimbisara has given to the messenger asked King Pukusati to follow these instructions before just open the document, just before opening this cover. So this messenger has gone to meet King Pukusati and has passed the message as well as given the instructions. So now what this King Pukusati did was, he actually has several stories in his palace. So he has gone to the topmost palace and asked all his followers, asked his all other members of the palace to go to the other area, and he now alone staying at the upper floor, topmost floor. And now with a fairly calm mind, and he has opened this message. Now he has started to read the message, and he also is a fairly fortunate person, very lucky person, and has a lot of good paramis. And he started to read the message. Actually, to take you to some old story of King Pukusati, probably you might have heard there are 5 monks during the previous Buddha's time. That means, before our Buddha, Gautama Buddha, there were another 3 Buddhas, Kakusanda, Konagama, Kassapa. Now, during the Kassapa Buddha's time, there were many monks, but unfortunately at that time the sasana was deteriorating. These 5 monks are good friends, and they determined to attain. They want to practice diligently, and they want to get the maximum benefit from the King Buddha Kassapa's sasana, from his dispensation. So what they did was, they went to a far forest, remote forest, and there they have prepared a ladder, and they climbed to a huge mountain. And after climbed there, they want to break the ladder and have to strive to attain Nibbana. So this is the determination they all 5 have. So what happened was, now as they decided, they all 5 went to the mountain using a ladder, and after they climbed the mountain, they destroyed the ladder. Now none of them can climb back. So now they are diligently practicing. You can understand this is a kind of a dedication of life for the attainment, for the realization. So as a result, one of the monks among 5 attained arahantship with all the psychic powers. Now he actually asked, now I actually have attained, and I can actually help you all. So what I can do is, I can go to the village and get some food and feed you till you also get attained. Now the other monks refused this proposal, telling that there was no such a proposal when we were coming to this place. We only decided that once we climb the mountain, none of us will go down. We don't spend our time in finding food. Rather, this is a complete dedication of our life, kind of a sacrifice of our life to the sasana. So therefore they didn't agree for this arahant proposal, and therefore he left the place. Now after a while, another monk became an anagami. He too was with psychic powers. He too actually has suggested the same kind of a proposal, but others now deny it. So after that, actually 5 or 3, I think 7 monks actually went there. Now 5 remaining. 5 actually they tried their best, and they actually couldn't achieve anything. So they didn't have food, there is no way to come down. So as a result, they all passed away. And because of their goodwill, because of their good action, because of their trust, faith, they have become celestial beings. So one of them is this King Pukusati. There was another one called Sabhiya, another one called Bahiya, Kumara Kassapa. So likewise, there were 5 prominent figures in Gautama Buddha Sasana who are actually these 5 monks who diligently practice with sacrifice of life during the during the Buddha Kassapa's time. In a way, we can get some side message here, even though we can't achieve our goal sometimes. Maybe due to lack of our intelligence, due to lack of the dedication, or due to some other whatever the obstacle. Even whatever striving we do, even whatever contribution we do, is not in vain. So this will, someday it will be quite useful, someday it will be helping us, and it become a cause for our future awakening. So even though we may not fully get enlightened in this very life, probably, sometimes whatever we do, if we really practice ardently, if our own motive is to attain Nibbana, to be free from suffering, so that's a very good motive. Due to various obstacles, we might not be able to fulfill it to the maximum. But still, if we strive, still if we continue our practice with a lot of faith, then this effort, this endeavor is not in vain. Someday it will give fruits. Someday it will give us a lot of results. So similarly, these 5 monks actually passed away during Buddha Kassapa's time, and now at different places, all of them reborn during the Buddha's time, our Buddha's time, Gautama Buddha's time. Now one of them is this King Pukusati. Now King Pukusati, as you can now understand, has a lot of parami in a sense. So he has actually practiced in the previous Buddha Sasanas. So he has fair amount of causes and conditions, and now he is originally in this life reading the Buddha's message. He immediately got a lot of faith on the Buddha. Once he is reading King Bimbisara's message, he got a lot of faith in the Buddha, and when he started to read the message about Dhamma, he get more faith. And when he started to know that there are already Sangha is established, the followers of the Buddha is well established, and he got again a lot of faith. And because of the instructions given in this message, he got the idea how to meditate. So King Bimbisara has briefly explained some techniques in the message, and so he started to follow them. So because of his past experiences, he was able to attain some jhana without much effort, because he has very good faith and very good parami, and he has a lot of confidence on King Bimbisara, and he knows that King Bimbisara will never do any harm to him. He is a very good friend, Kalyana Mitta. So as a result, he is now faithfully going through the instructions, and he was able to attain jhana. Now this jhana is quite blissful, and compared to the typical pleasures, this is a kind of an unworldly pleasure, because it is not gained through seeing various forms, hearing various sounds, smelling various odors, and feeling various tastes, or going through various tactile sensations, or even any kind of other defilement mixed various mental states. But this is fairly a unification of the mind with a wholesome object. So this is what we call jhana. So therefore jhana are in particular very blissful. So King Pukusati is now spending a lot of time in jhana, because is quite interesting for him. You know, whenever someone attains this kind of a new samadhi, new type of a concentration, if it is quite blissful, then the person get attached to it. So person starts to enjoy it. So it becomes one of his goal. So he spent several days enjoying these various samapatti, various jhanic pleasures. And after a few days, he decided to leave the kingdom. So he understood that Buddha has already established the Sangha, the followers of the Buddha, and he has a lot of faith on the Dhamma because he himself has tasted it to some extent, and he has now very good faith on Buddha. So he decided to leave the kingdom and become a monk. Now what he did was, he asked one of his subordinate to buy a robe and a ball and to offer him. And while being in the palace, he removed his head hair and he shaven his head and wear the robe and ball, and secretly he left the kingdom. Now he is going in search of the Buddha. Now you can see this King Pukusati's kingdom is called Avanti. From there he is now going to meet the Buddha, and Buddha is in Magadha, in Sravasti. Now it's a long distance. Now King Pukusati actually now is a monk, but not proper monk in a way, because it is not just the Buddha has given him the robes, and Buddha is not yet the proper kind of the teacher. But anyway, King Pukusati has now become a monk. Now he is now traveling in search of the Buddha. Since as I said, it's a long distance. Now he is coming towards Sravasti. But unfortunately, he missed the route and now got late. Now can't walk further, so he decided to stay this night at a particular place. Now he found there is a fairly large potter's warehouse, kind of potter's workplace, and he went to meet the potter. This potter is called Bhagava, and so he meets and asks from the potter, is it all right if I stay at your place? Is there any space you can allow me to stay? Because I got late. There is no time to go forward. It's already got night. So therefore, could you, as a help, could you allow me to stay at maybe in your workshop or in any other place which belongs to you? You have several places, buildings available. So could you allow me to stay? So the potter also is a very kind, gentle person. So he asked, no problem. I have enough space in the workplace, so please stay there. So he invited him. So allow this Venerable Pukusati to stay there. Now while being in Jetvanarama, in Sravasti, Buddha knew this whole story. Because through his omniscient powers, omniscient psychic powers, so he knew the whole story, and he probably have known that this Venerable this Venerable Pukusati in a way has a little risk and kind of a risk on his life, but he is coming in search of the Buddha. He has become a monk already on behalf of him, in search of the Buddha on his name, but unfortunately he couldn't reach the Buddha. So what Buddha decided was to go and meet Venerable Pukusati. Now Buddha also, without telling any other monk, he simply taken his ball and the robes, and now he also coming to the same place where Venerable Pukusati stays. Now after coming to the place, so Buddha asked from the potter the same question. Now Buddha is telling, I also got late and now there is no enough time to go forward. So could you allow me to stay at your place? So potter again is a kind person. He said, I have no objection, but already there is a monk inside. If he agree, if he tell that it is not a problem for him, it's not a disturbance for him, and if he allow, you may stay. I have no objection. Now Buddha got permission from the potter. Now he reached Venerable Pukusati, and he asked very politely, without telling anything, Buddha simply asked from this Venerable Pukusati, so already I asked from the potter, he's all right, but would you mind to allow me to stay here? So Venerable Pukusati also said, yes, there is enough space for two of us to stay, so please come, please stay. Now the beauty here is now Venerable Pukusati again attained the samadhi, again attained the concentration jhana, and he is during the fair amount of night he was sitting and practicing. He simply attained the samadhi, concentration, and he is staying in the blissful state. And Buddha also checked about Venerable Pukusati. Now he is not yet in a mood to listen to Dhamma, but rather he is in a concentration. So Buddha himself sit comfortably, sit in a erect position, and Buddha also attained some samadhi, and he too silently meditating. Now both of them are meditating. After long time of staying, so Buddha now emerged from his concentration. At the same time, this Venerable Pukusati also emerged from concentration, and now Buddha reflect about this Venerable Pukusati. There's a beautiful saying in Dhammapada. So, if one is enjoying by himself, not seeking some external pleasures, and his body, speech, mind is fairly calm, fairly restrained, and he is actually called a monk. Ajjattarato samahito eko santusito tamahu bhikkhu. In Dhammapada Bhikkhu Agga, there is such a beautiful verse. What are the sort of internal qualities of a monk? Eko santusito. That means a monk can be happy by being alone. He doesn't seek someone else's association. He simply like to stay alone and quite happy by being alone, because he has his inner peace. So now Buddha actually reflected these qualities in Venerable Pukusati, and now he decided to start a little conversation with Venerable Pukusati. He now asked from where you are coming, and then Venerable Pukusati explained from where he is coming. And then Buddha asked, who is your teacher? And Venerable Pukusati explains, I gone forth on behalf of the Buddha, who has come from Sakyan family, Sakyan clan, and so he is my teacher. Then Buddha asked, have you ever met him? Then Venerable Pukusati say, no, I didn't. Even if you meet him, would you able to recognize him? So he says, no, I haven't met him, so I don't know the exact information, so I won't be able to recognize him. So now Buddha, going through this kind of a conversation, actually, so Buddha know actually the whole story, but anyway, this is the custom of the Buddha. Even while knowing everything, Buddha simply get on to typical conversation. All this information may be well known, that's why he came from all the way from Shravasti to meet Venerable Pukusati. But anyway, he is asking all this. And now Buddha is taking permission from Venerable Pukusati to teach some Dhamma. He didn't go to tell that I am the Buddha, I am the teacher on whom that you have gone forth, so just listen Dhamma. There is no such kind of information. Rather, Buddha very humbly, very politely, he asked permission from Venerable Pukusati to preach some Dhamma. If he likes, he can listen. So Venerable Pukusati also said, no problem. Friend, you can teach me Dhamma. You can speak, I can listen. He actually addressed the Buddha as a friend, because he don't know about the Buddha. He didn't recognize the Buddha. So therefore, he simply said, no problem, friend, you may speak, I will listen. So Buddha got the permission, consent, and now he is going to explain the Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. So this is the kind of a story behind this whole sutta. In a way, very beautiful, because what kind of a faith when Pukusati had, and how he get into the system, and how he met the Buddha, and how Buddha actually quite sympathetic on Venerable Pukusati coming all the way from Sravasti, and without telling, in a way in today's terms we can say without advertising, simply Buddha start to preach Dhamma. Now this is the Dhamma Buddha is preaching. Now in this sutta there are fair amount of theoretical part and a lot of instructions for our meditation. So in the first part, Buddha is telling a kind of a summary, kind of the titles of the whole sutta. So now let's get into the titles. Buddha says, this so-called person consists of 6 elements. Cha dhaturo ayam bhikkhu puriso. The so-called person is consisting of 6 elements. Another way, once looking at the so-called person, Buddha says, this so-called person is consisting of 6 bases of contact. And another perspective, Buddha says, this so-called person is consisting of 18 kinds of mental explorations, 18 kinds of mental behaviors. And then he is getting to another topic, telling there are 4 foundations. And then while being in these 4 foundations, if one properly practice, he would be able to attain peace. So these 4 foundations should not neglect and should try to preserve truth and to cultivate relinquishment, and then should train for peace. So this is a kind of a summary Buddha explained at the beginning. Now in a way, probably none of us could understand this summary. Maybe Venerable Pukusati too didn't understand. Now slowly Buddha starts to explain what each topic meant. So now let's get into the first section. Buddha says, this so-called person consists of 6 elements. So now you know, typically we consider ourselves as an individual. I am a monk, you are a layman, there is a male, I am a male, another is female, I am a father, I am a mother, I am a daughter, I am a son, I am a farmer, I am a doctor, I am an engineer, I am a lawyer. So likewise there are so many titles, so many individuality, so many personals are available. But now Buddha is going little deeper and says, this so-called person is nothing but 6 elements. Now he is taking our attention to a completely different alternative side, rather than simply enveloped or engulfed in a kind of a narrow perspective. He is now trying to open up our mind to a different perspective. He is telling, even though we call this a person, kind of an individual, so this so-called person consists of 6 elements, that's all. So what are those 6 elements? Earth element, water element, fire element, air element, space element, and consciousness element. I'll briefly explain these elements because this would be quite useful for our meditation. So earth element. Earth element actually consists of hardness, softness, then weight, kind of heaviness, the opposite is lightness, then roughness and smoothness. So all these, in a way, one side is the gross side, the other side is the soft side, lighter side. So likewise 6 characteristics are there for earth element. Now, further, so how one can perceive these elements? Now, say for example, you are now sitting. So, when you are sitting, probably you can feel the weight of your body. Probably if you are standing, you can feel the weight of your body to the soles of the legs, your foot. And if you are sitting on a cushion, there you can feel the weight of the upper half of your body. And similarly, if you are sitting on a chair, there also probably on your buttocks, you might be able to feel the weight of your upper half of the body. So likewise, this body has a weight, and there's a possibility to feel it. Directly feel the weight of the body. This is possible. And if you keep one hand on top of the other hand, you can feel the weight of the topmost hand, upper hand. If you keep one leg on top of the other leg, you can feel the weight of the top leg, upper leg. So likewise, you understand there's a weight, there's a heaviness. On the other hand, there are, if the heaviness is less, we call it lightness. So these two characteristics indicate the presence of earth element. Now, if you consider water element, you can actually understand, most of you have even read the Sutta and you might have experienced these various elements. So hopefully you can connect with what I am telling. So what is water element? So water element is whatever is watery, whatever is flowing is the water element. So obviously water contains a lot of water element, and again any kind of other drinking watery material, so that also consists of water element. Majority is water element. Say if you are drinking juice, if you are drinking tea, if you are drinking coffee, whatever this drinks, the majority, the large part is water element. And if you consider river, sea, all these, actually majority is water element. So it is not difficult to understand. On the other hand, if you consider the earth element, whatever it is hard. Now if you consider your laptop, your say whole skeleton, whole skull, teeth, maybe lungs, the various bones, all these actually consist of the hard particles, hardness. On the other hand, softness is also there. If you consider your lips, the skin, flesh, all these are soft, but still they are earth element. On the other hand, say intestines, lungs, kidneys, all these internal various kinds of majority earth element consisting components in our whole body are earth element, consisting of majority earth element. So therefore you can understand the earth element is twofold, either internal earth element or external earth element. Internal earth element is nothing but these various components in our body, head hair, body hair, and then these nails, heart, liver, spleen, all these intestines, all these hard parts within our body are internal earth element. On the other hand, the external earth element is quite obvious. Whatever stones, houses, roads, all whatever hard is external earth element. So this is in a way little conventional earth element, the majority, the vast majority consisting of earth element. So in one side of this explanation, as Buddha given in this sutta, it is not really essential to go to very minute details like today's scientists finding out various atomic particles, subatomic particles, and all those nuclear level, we don't need to go. Actually, whole Buddha's teaching is oriented towards Nibbida, oriented towards the disenchantment. So, if we fairly know that this body consisting of earth element, most of them are teeth, heart and liver, skeleton. So, likewise, these are quite obvious. The body consisting of earth element, the hard particles, whatever is hard, whatever is the soft, whatever is heavy, whatever is lighter, and whatever is gross, whatever is soft, and all these are actually earth element. On the other hand, if we consider water element, whatever is watery, whatever is flowing is water element. Now you can understand that, therefore, say saliva, phlegm, maybe tears, blood, urine, all these actually consisting of water element because they have the property of flowing. So these are internal water element. On the other hand, external water element, quite obvious, rivers, ocean, well, or everywhere the watery flowing part is there, water is there. So that is the external water element. This is in a way not difficult to understand. Now fire element. Now whatever is fiery, whatever is burning, the effect of burning is possible because of the fire element. Now this fire element is therefore not only outside fire element we can understand. So there is heat, there is sort of hot, cold, burning kind of fiery side is available outside. Same is available inside as well. Now that's why when we eat, our food get digested. So this digestion happen due to fire element. And again, our whole body get aging, get decaying. This decaying happens due to fire element. And our body has kind of its own temperature. So typically our body temperature is 37 Celsius. So this is again heat element or fire element. So likewise we can understand the availability of fire element. So this fire element is another, actually one major part of the body. That is the internal fire element. Also there is external fire element also available. Now what is air element? Now that also is not difficult to understand. So there is, you can understand some airy nature is available. When the wind blowing, that is majority is air element. And inside also we have air element. Now say for example inhale and exhale. So this is the air element. And then what is sometimes there's a kind of burping happens. So at that time the air element is prominent. A farting happens. At that time the air element is prominent. And inside our bowels, there is air element present. So likewise there are internal air element as well as external air element. So these are not difficult to understand. I hope you can follow me. If you come to space element, so there are certain spacious component, kind of like a hull, kind of a hole. So such parts are also available. We can simply say it's the lack of the other four major elements. So then we can consider it as space element. So when there is no the majority is not earth element, majority is not water element, majority is not air element, fire element, then we can consider, okay, it is space element. So in the Buddha's explanation according to this sutta, so Buddha says, so there are like the opening of the mouth, nostrils, the duct of our the food traversing path. So all this actually has some hollow area. So this is the space element. Outside space element is quite obvious. Now, according to this teaching, Buddha, as I mentioned, didn't go to the most intrinsic characteristics, most minute detail, like today's scientist in atomic level, but he has given a quite understandable explanation about earth element, about water element, about fire element, and air element, space element. Consciousness element I am not going to explain right now, because that's another subject. We'll take it on a different day. And so we can simply understand, for the time being, simply say, through consciousness element, the whole knowing part happened. What we have discussed so far are all physical, but there is a mental side as well. So this whole mental side has indicated through consciousness element. Now if we consider a person, a man, a woman, so this man, this woman is nothing but these 6 elements. So his body consisting of earth, water, fire, air and space, and his mind, his or her mind, consisting of consciousness element. So likewise we can apply this theory to any of the human being, to any of the animal, any of animate thing, we can apply this theory. Wherever life is present, associating some material component, then we can apply these 6 element, the model of 6 element. And let's get into the other part as well. And Buddha says, as the second topic, this person, this man, woman, again consisting of 6 bases of contact. Now this is also not difficult to understand. So he has the eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, tongue contact, body contact and mind contact. So these are bases. Eye base, ear base, nose base, tongue base, body base and mind base. So actually going to the contact level, that is through them actually we perceive the world. So these we can simply say like senses. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. Now this is another way of explanation. So this so-called man, so-called woman, mother, father, daughter, son, a dog, a hen, a lion, elephant, simply we can say consisting of these 6 components, these 6 contact points. So this is in a way kind of an explanation rather than simply identifying I am so and so. We all actually, after being born, we are given a name, we are started to learn various subjects, we recognize the world, we start to speak a language, and we have various cultural conditioning, various different kinds of upbringing, different norms, values. So due to that we become an individual, we become a person. We are making sakkaya ditthi. We are making a personality. So ultimately, this personality, this personal view, this individuality becomes so solid, so fixed. And we feel or we believe it is true. Even though we started very slowly with in a way fairly pure mind to feed all this information. We are learning at our kindergarten, we next go to the lower grades, maybe higher grades, high school, universities and all blah blah, all the education system, and we may be associating various others, neighbors. By all this actually we accumulate a lot of information. We put a lot of data into our mind and we become someone, we become somebody. I am so and so. So then as I said, the personal view becomes so strong. We identify with it. For in such background, Buddha is giving an entirely different picture. Even though we call this so and so, even though I am calling myself, even though I am calling I am a man, I am a woman, I am a mother, I am a father, I am an executive, I am a laborer, even though we call like that conventionally, if we look deeper, if we go to the source, actually it is nothing but 6 elements. Actually it is nothing but 6 types of contact. So I think we can, even though I have prepared the other section, we'll stop here for today. So this is, we can say, the entry point of Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. Today it may be a little dry because we are still in the theory part. So you have to little bear the situation. Slowly we'll get on to the practical aspects of these explanations. And I'll open the session for discussion. And if there is no any question, I like to explain how the earth element, water element, fire element, air element, space element, how one can perceive, how one can meditatively experience. But anyway, before getting to that, if you have any question, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Bhante. And for anyone who may be new to the session, if you have questions, under the participants tab, you may raise your hand and ask your questions directly, or you can also send it to me via chat if you would like to ask it anonymously. Bhante, I have not received any questions.
Yeah. So probably then I'll little explain further on 6 elements, because as I mentioned, earth element has various characteristics: hardness, softness, heaviness, lightness, roughness, smoothness. So these are the typical 6 characteristics of earth element. Water element again has 2 characteristics like flowing, cohesion. So these are the characteristics of the water element. Fire element is having 2 characteristics: cold and heat, cold and hot, coolness and the hotness. The air element has the characteristics of again movement, vibration. So these are air element. Now in our practice, directly we can experience them. Even though this appear like fairly dry, still when we can really feel these various elements which appears or which manifests in our body. Say for example, you start to practice sitting meditation and you are keeping your attention to breath. So what you experience is the movement of the air. So the air element, the presence of air element is quite obvious. The inhale is air element, exhale is air element. Similarly, suppose you are keeping your attention to rising and falling of the abdomen. So this rising and falling, this movement is actually a product of air element. If air element is not available, a movement is not possible. Suppose you perceive kind of heat. You may perceive, okay, the inhale is cooler, exhale is warmer. So this is a kind of a perception, and you can feel the difference. You can understand, okay, compared to the in-breath, out-breath is warmer. So this is the presence of fire element. You can say the inhale consists of less fire element, but on the other hand, the exhale consisting of more fire element. Suppose you feel certain vibration at various places of your body. So those actually vibrations are also movements and actually consists of air element. Air element is the prominent part. And sometimes you feel the heaviness of the body. As I said, while you are standing, the weight of the body can be felt at your foot. So therefore you can feel, you can still directly understand, directly experience the weight of the body. And sometimes you can feel the stiffness while standing. at various joints, you can feel stiffness. So this is also earth element. And sometimes you start to sweat. So this is water element. And if you keep your attention to your body, so this presence of various elements are quite obvious. Typically we ignore them because our mind has engaged with various other interesting stories. Therefore we ignore all these other components, these direct characteristics of various elements. We simply ignore because they are quite ordinary, quite neutral sometimes. Because of that we simply ignore. But here in our practice we have to effortfully try to understand the availability of these various elements. So this is one of the important part of our practice. So suppose you are sitting cross-legged and you are keeping your attention to the sitting posture. So while you are staying like that, so we may be able to recognize the presence of various elements. The presence of heaviness, presence of hardness, presence of weight, the movement, vibrations, etc., etc. You may be able to recognize. Similarly, suppose you are walking. So while walking, your foot is touching the ground. So you can feel the hardness. Suppose you are walking on a carpet. So there you might feel some soft sensation. This is actually characteristics of earth element. But on the other hand, suppose you are walking on a cement path, then you can feel the hardness. Maybe you are walking on a coir mat, you still can feel the hardness. If you are walking on a sand path, still you can feel the hardness. So likewise, different textures we can recognize. So this is consisting of different amounts of earth element. So likewise we can say, so while continuing our practice, we can obviously experience these elements. Suppose while keeping your attention is drawn to the heartbeat. So you can feel the heartbeat. That's also the presence of either earth element, or we can say as well as the air element. So likewise, so we need to recognize these different elements. So therefore, there is a separate meditation called Dhatu Manasikara Bhavana, element meditation, because there we giving the prominence towards these elements. We are trying to understand the existence, the lifetime of various elements, and this recognition, this understanding of various elements actually leading us to good knowledge about elements, and leading us towards kind of a dispassion, rather than holding, rather than identification, rather than thinking this is a person, this is I am a man, I am a woman. So likewise, without giving that kind of a title, when we are going to these very subtle details, when we are going to very minute details, to the direct experience of these various elements, we can actually go through or penetrate our typical conventional ignorance. So therefore, I encourage you to learn or experience these various elements and their presence, and they are always available. So it is for us, we need to understand their language. And so there's a beautiful saying by Most Venerable Matara Sri Jnanarama Mahathero. He was the first preceptor in our monastery, and he says the yogi should understand the language of the elements, because these elements are always teaching, or elements are always talking, speaking. But if we don't know the language of them, we can't understand their presence. We can't understand which one has come to the front. So this is what we have to encourage, we have to practice, we have to try to adjust, so that we can recognize the presence of various elements. So this is a kind of another explanation I want to give you. So if there are no any other question, I like to wind up the session.
Hello, Bante. Are you in a public place? There seems to be a lot of background noise.
Yes. Actually, today we have started in Colombo 7. There is retreat going on, 1 day retreat going on. I have to conduct it. Just before that, I taken this session, and at around 8:15, I have to commence that session. Now they are announcing the event.
Okay, gotcha. I think we just have one quick question.
Yeah.
That is, should these characteristics of these elements be actively reflected on whilst doing formal sitting or walking meditation? And this is referring not only to Dhatu Manasikara.
Actually, this refers to Dhatu Manasikara, and there is no any specific posture to know these things. Any posture is possible. While standing, you can feel the presence of various elements. While walking, you can feel the presence of various elements. While standing, while lying down, while doing various other activities, you can feel the presence of various elements. So suppose you are brushing teeth. While holding the brush, you can feel the grip, you can feel the stiffness, you can feel the hardness. Probably you can even feel the weight of the brush. So likewise, any activity, while engaging even any activity, you can feel the presence of various elements. So for Dhatu Manasikara, there is no any specific posture, but of course we can recognize, we can start to feel them while being in the sitting at first, and maybe while walking, but we can further enhance it so that the presence of elements are available or known at any other posture, any other activity as well.
Okay, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to share with us this Dhamma talk. Next week's program should be resuming our usual time on Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. in Sri Lanka time. And then the following week after that, we're coming back to this Sunday schedule. So I'll make sure to notify everyone again on the line. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for joining. So I'll wind up the session. We'll see you on next Wednesday. Theruvan Saranai.
Theruvan Saranai, Bhante. Thank you.
Theruvan Saranai.